Most people are afraid of what's outside their home at night. Locked doors, alarm systems, security cameras. But what if the thing you needed to be afraid of was already inside? What if it was you? This is the story of a 28-year-old woman named Claire Simmons from Portland, Oregon. A woman who thought she was losing her mind until the recordings proved she wasn't. Claire was a graduate student, psychology major, ironically enough. Smart, logical, skeptical of anything she couldn't explain with science. She lived alone in a small apartment near campus, and in the fall of 2021, she started losing time. Not big chunks, just small gaps. She'd sit down to study at 9 p.m. and suddenly it would be midnight. She'd start making coffee and find it already made and cold on the counter. She told herself she was overworked, stressed, sleep-deprived. Graduate school does that to people. She ignored it until the morning she woke up and found mud on her feet. It was a Tuesday in October. Claire woke up at 6 a.m. like normal, but when she threw back the covers, both of her feet were caked in dark mud. She lived on the 3rd floor of an apartment building. She had not gone outside the night before. She remembered locking the door, brushing her teeth, getting into bed. She had no memory of anything after that. She scrubbed her feet in the shower and told herself she must have sleepwalked. She'd never sleepwalked before in her life, but there was a first time for everything, right? That same day, she ordered a sleep-tracking camera. She set it up in the corner of her bedroom that night, pointed directly at her bed. She told herself it would give her peace of mind. She was wrong. The first 2 nights, nothing unusual. She slept normally, didn't move much, woke up rested. She almost returned the camera. But on the 3rd night, at 2:48 a.m., Claire sat up in bed, eyes wide open. She swung her legs over the side, stood up, and walked slowly to the corner of the room. She stood there, facing the wall, not moving, for 47 minutes. Then she walked back to bed, lay down, and went back to sleep. When she watched the footage the next morning, her hands were shaking because her eyes were open the entire time. But the way she moved, the way she stood there, it didn't look like sleepwalking. It looked like she was waiting, like she was listening to something only she could hear. Claire showed the footage to her professor, a sleep disorder specialist. He said it was a classic case of parasomnia, sleepwalking combined with sleep terrors. Treatable, common, nothing to worry about. He prescribed her medication. She took it that same night. But the next morning, she woke up outside, on a bench in the park 3 blocks from her apartment, in her pajamas, at 4 a.m., with no memory of leaving. The medication was supposed to prevent this. Terrified, she reviewed the footage. The camera had captured everything. At 1:15 a.m., Claire got out of bed again, but this time, she walked to the camera. She leaned in close, her face inches from the lens, and she smiled. Not a sleepy smile, not a confused smile. A wide, slow, deliberate smile. Then she whispered something. Claire turned up the volume as high as it would go and listened carefully. She whispered, "She's not here right now." Then she stood up, walked out the front door, and was gone for 3 hours. Claire checked herself into a hospital the next day. Neurological tests, brain scans, psychiatric evaluation. Everything came back normal. The doctors were baffled, but one psychiatrist, an older woman named Dr. Elaine Park, reviewed the footage carefully. She watched it 3 times. Then she asked Claire a question. "Has anyone close to you died recently?" Claire froze. Her twin sister, Sarah, had died in a car accident 14 months earlier. Dr. Park nodded slowly. "Tell me something," she said carefully. "That smile on the footage." She turned the laptop toward Claire. "Is that your smile?" Claire stared at the screen, at the wide, slow, deliberate smile on her own face. Her stomach dropped, because it wasn't her smile. It was Sarah's. Sarah had always smiled exactly like that. Claire moved back to her parents' house in Seattle shortly after. The episode stopped completely the moment she left that apartment. She never went back. She still has the footage saved on a hard drive somewhere. She has never watched it again. Dr. Park retired the following year, but before she did, she gave one final interview to a medical journal. When asked about the strangest case of her career, she described Claire's story without using her name. And at the end of the interview, the journalist asked her, "Do you believe in the paranormal, Doctor?" Dr. Park was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I believe there are things that happen to the human mind that medicine cannot explain, and I believe that grief can open doors that should remain closed." Claire is doing well today. She graduated. She has a job she loves. She sleeps fine now, most nights, but she never sets up a camera anymore. Some things are better left unrecorded. Most of us have lived with someone at some point, or a roommate, a friend, a stranger from Craigslist. We share our space, our kitchen, our bathroom. We trust them. But what if your roommate was not who they said they were? What if they were watching you, and every single day, and you had absolutely no idea? This is the story of 26-year-old Megan Cole from Austin, Texas, and the roommate who turned her life into a nightmare. Megan was a graphic designer, friendly, outgoing, trusted people easily, maybe too easily. In January 2020, she posted an ad online looking for a roommate to split rent on her 2-bedroom apartment. Within 24 hours, she had dozens of responses. Most were normal, some were weird, but one stood out. A man named David Marsh, clean profile, good references, worked remotely as a software developer, quiet, polite, paid 3 months rent up front. Megan thought she had hit the roommate lottery. She had no idea she had just let a predator into her home. The first month was fine. David was quiet, kept to himself, always respectful. He cooked his own meals, cleaned up after himself, never had guests over. Megan barely saw him. She told her friend, Jess, "Honestly, he's the perfect roommate. I forget he's even there." But in February, small things started bothering her. She would come home and feel like things had been moved. Her laptop, her journals, items on her dresser. Nothing missing, just slightly out of place. She told herself she was imagining it. Then she noticed David always seemed to know things he shouldn't. One morning, she mentioned offhand that she was stressed about a client. David said, "Yeah, that call yesterday sounded really tough." Megan froze. She had taken that call in her bedroom, with the door closed. She laughed it off, told herself the walls were thin, but something in her stomach shifted that day. Something didn't feel right. In March, Megan started having the feeling she was being watched. Not outside, not on the street. Inside her own apartment, in her own bedroom. She would be getting dressed in the morning and feel eyes on her. She checked her room carefully one afternoon while David was out. She found nothing. But then she noticed something odd about her smoke detector. It was slightly crooked. She stood on her bed and looked at it closely. Her hands started shaking. There was a small pinhole camera, hidden inside the smoke detector, pointed directly at her bed. She called the police immediately. When detectives searched the apartment, they found 9 cameras, 9, hidden in the smoke detector, the bathroom vent, a fake phone charger on her dresser, behind a book on her shelf. Every single one pointed at the most private areas of her space. When police arrested David Marsh that evening, what they found on his laptop made them sick. Months of footage, organized into folders, labeled by date, but it wasn't just Megan. When they dug deeper into David's background, they discovered he had done this before. 3 other women, 3 other cities, Nashville, Denver, Phoenix. Same pattern every time. Fake name, fake references, paid up front, perfect roommate, until the cameras were found. But here is the part that made this case truly terrifying. In Nashville, the woman who found his cameras had reported it to police. David Marsh had been arrested, charged, and released on bail. He skipped his court date, disappeared, and then showed up in Austin with a different name and moved in with Megan. The system had failed her completely. At trial, Megan sat in the courtroom and faced David directly. She said she wanted to understand why. During questioning, David showed no remorse, no emotion. He spoke about the women he had recorded the same way someone might talk about a hobby. Casually, clinically. At one point, the prosecutor asked him, "Did you ever think about what you were doing to these women?" David was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I thought about them all the time." The courtroom went silent. Megan said later that was the moment she truly understood. This was never about footage. This was about power, about control, about existing in someone's most private moments, without them ever knowing you were there. David Marsh was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. He will be eligible for parole in 2026. Megan moved to a new city after the trial. She rebuilt her life slowly. She now runs an online community helping women identify hidden cameras in rental properties. She has helped over 4,000 people so far. She turned her nightmare into something powerful. But she told one interviewer something that has stayed with me. She said, "The scariest part was never finding the cameras. The scariest part was realizing how long I had felt completely safe, while someone was watching my every move." After this story, I want you to do one thing. Look around the room you're in right now. Your smoke detector, your phone charger, that little vent on the wall. When did you last really look at them? Hidden cameras are more common than you think, and the people who place them are very good at looking normal. Stay aware out there. Stay safe. I used to trust security cameras. Now I cover my eyes every time my phone vibrates. Most people think cameras tell the truth, that if something happened, the footage would explain everything. Clear, simple, undeniable. I used to believe that too, until the night I watched myself sleeping while I was wide awake. It happened 3 months after I moved into the apartment on Willow Street. It wasn't a bad place. Cheap rent, quiet neighborhood. After my divorce, I wanted somewhere forgettable. Somewhere I could exist without memories in every corner. Apartment 3B gave me exactly that. The landlord, Mr. Harlan, was strange from the start. Too friendly, always smiling too long. When I signed the lease, he handed me the keys and said, "If the security cameras ever show something unusual, don't call me after midnight." I laughed, thinking it was some tired old man joke. He didn't laugh back. "Just trust me," he said. The building had a camera system that tenants could check from an app on their phones. Mostly it was boring. Delivery drivers, stray cats. Life settled into routine. Work, dinner, sleep, forget. Then one Thursday night I couldn't sleep. Rain tapped softly against the windows and the apartment felt too quiet. Around 1:13 a.m., I gave up pretending and made coffee. While standing in the kitchen, I remembered a strange noise I'd heard earlier, near the basement stairs. Something like dragging chains. Curiosity got the better of me. I opened the camera app. Front entrance, empty. Parking lot, wet and shining. Hallway, silent. Then I clicked the hallway camera outside my apartment and nearly dropped my phone. Through the small gap in my bedroom curtains, visible from the hallway camera angle, I could see someone lying in my bed. Me. Same gray shirt, same arm hanging off the mattress, sleeping. I stared at the screen, then slowly looked toward my bedroom. I was standing in the kitchen, holding my phone, awake. For 10 seconds, my brain refused to understand what I was seeing. I walked straight into the bedroom. The bed was empty, cold sheets, nobody there. I looked back at the app, still there, still me, sleeping peacefully. I whispered, "What the hell?" And on the screen, the version of me in bed opened his eyes. I dropped the phone so hard it cracked against the floor. I stumbled backward, hitting the dresser. On the screen, from the floor, I could still see him. Watching, not moving, just staring directly into the camera, into me. Then he smiled, not wide, just enough to feel wrong. At 7 a.m., I went downstairs and knocked on Mr. Harlan's door. He opened it like he'd been expecting me. "You checked the cameras after midnight," he said. Not a question. I asked him what was wrong with the building. He sighed and sat at the kitchen table. "For some reason," he said, "the cameras don't always show what is happening. Sometimes they show what wants to happen." He told me 3 tenants before me reported the same thing. Seeing themselves. 2 moved out, 1 opened the door. Around 3 a.m., that tenant saw himself standing outside on the camera, smiling. He opened the door. In the morning, his apartment was empty. Door unlocked. We never found him. I moved out that weekend. Friday night, I was carrying a box to my car at 11:48 p.m. My phone buzzed. Motion detected. Hallway camera. I opened it. There, outside apartment 3B, stood me. Wearing the same clothes I had on right then, holding nothing, just standing there facing my apartment door. Then slowly, camera me lifted one hand and knocked. 3 soft taps. I was still outside. I could see my own car, my own hands shaking. But on that screen, I was upstairs, waiting. The apartment door opened, not by me, from inside. Darkness beyond the doorway. And the version of me on camera stepped inside. The door closed. I stood in the parking lot for what felt like hours. Then I got in my car and left everything behind. Furniture, clothes, photos, all of it. I never went back. I live in another city now. Different apartment, different locks, no shared cameras. I sleep better, mostly. But sometimes just after midnight, my phone gets a notification from an app I deleted long ago. Motion detected. I never open it. But last night, I looked at the preview without tapping. It was my new apartment hallway, and outside my door, someone was standing there, waiting, wearing my face.